Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Alicia, for those questions. Any other
You're very
questions that came to mind as she's going through these? If not, Yvonne, let's go on to our other subject matter. I know that fall is upon us, which means it is election time for a lot of your chapters. So we want to talk about, and we have talked about it before, but just as a reminder, the module with surveys and how you can do elections through the process. While you're queuing that up, we did have a chapter that specifically asked us, not able to be on the call, is if anybody is already using this that she could contact. If you would put your name and chapter in the chat, that would be great. I'd like to connect the two of you. She just would like to talk with somebody through that. But Yvonne, if you could show the group that portion of the site.
okay. So Kaylee's actually going to do this and show
Okay.
you, but I'll start it the conversation. So the surveys are under communications tab. And I do want to point out one thing because I did have Washington reach out to me last week because they were doing a election and it was requiring members to log in order to take the to vote. And the reason it was requiring them to log in is, and I don't know if they had set it up, I'm not on their website, I don't know if they had set it up for an election, but one thing I want to point out is this PM. If you see this PM, what PM means is that this survey module is available to both public and members. So in other words, let's say you're doing a survey of just, you have your trade show and you want to send out a survey to everybody who attended, and the people who attended are members and non-members. If you have this set to only M members, the non-members won't be able to click the link and take the survey. So just so you know that. And the way that you change that is you go to configure and then you find the module that you want to change. And right here is any website visitor or members only. So if I change this right now, and you can actually drill it down to a member type. So let's say maybe agency members are not allowed to vote for your board. Then you could change it that you want only regular members to be able to see this. If you're not going to use the survey module for anything other than voting, you can change it that only regular members are going to see it. But I'm not going to do that right now. But I'm going to change it to members only and save and close. And now you'll see it change to M. So now only members can take the surveys. So let me just switch that back real quick. And that's just about every single module in here. Oh, sorry. So that's just about every single module in here. One other thing I might as well show you is there's
Yvonne,
also, yeah,
Yvonne, that kept stayed just at members.
I think I just had to refresh. Let me
Okay, all
see.
right, sorry. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
There it is. Sorry.
Another thing you can do, oops, excuse me, as long as I'm in here, is you can do a quick link. You can create a quick link, and it's, let's say, serve. See if that works. Who is this group? And this is not a good example of it. I'm going to remove it, but you can do this for any of the modules. And now instead of having to add a link up here, or just just an easier, quicker way to get to it, you can just type in. And it's going to open up the surveys. So you can share this link with people, in other words. So that's just, like I said, that's in all the modules. You can do that in any of the modules. Let me just get rid of that though real quick. Like events, just an easier way. Events is a good one because then you would just type in the website /events and it would go directly to your events calendar. Okay, so Kaylee, are you ready?
Yes, I just have to take over the share screen. Okay. Okay. Okay, so within the survey module, I'm just going to show you how to get started and configure, you can configure a survey or an election. The difference between the two being that an election is required to be anonymous. And so when you're polling that election results, you will not have the information of which member submitted which vote. So under communications, going into the survey module, I've already created an example that we can take a look at, but did just want to start by showing that there are survey categories. And most of the modules on Club Express have categories to keep things organized. So I've gone in and added a category of election, and you do that just by adding a survey category. So going back to add a survey, you'll click Add Survey. And I've titled my example as 2026 board, you know, whatever title for the survey or election. You can provide a brief description. You can configure as election. If you do that, you're going to see that below here is going to automatically change to anonymous. Pop up there. So once that's done, you cannot go back. And that's basically because once somebody has submitted, you can't go back and say it's not an election. So now we are required to allow anonymous responses. You do have to pick the category of the survey or election, whether or not it will be members or open to the public. An election must be members only. The survey button text is going to say, you could say like, submit your vote, whatever you'd like it to show. And then you can choose an end date for that to cut off. You want to select a contact person, and then the show post amble last. I will show you what that means in just a second. So I'm just gonna hit cancel and show you how this election I have set up. To view it, and this is also how you're going to find the link to provide to your members. You'll click this eyeball icon. Oh, geez. Well, give me 1 second. I'm going to delete this response. Okay. All right, so to view the survey, hopefully we don't have to hard refresh. Okay, so you'll click the eyeball icon. This is the preamble. I'll show you where to find that, but you could put in brief text here to introduce your members to the survey. They'll follow to the next page. And what we have here is a vote for president. This is called a checkbox list. Now, I have set it so that they're not required, of course, to vote if they don't want to vote for president. The checkbox list is a little bit finicky because, as you can see, you can vote for 3 people, but I have set it to a maximum selection of 1. So if I were to vote for all 3 for president, I'm going to get an error box when I hit next. Yes, I approve the bylaws. These are called radio buttons. It's only going to let me select 1. The one caveat to radio buttons is there are only 2 choices that you can list. So when I hit next, I have to correct the error of I can only choose 1 president. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. After I submit that, here's where that post amble was when we were initially setting up. If you were to check that checkbox that said show post amble last, this would not have pulled up as a new screen. It would have been on the previous page at the bottom of the choices. So that's just a feature if you want there to be a second screen. Hit next. You will review your responses as you're taking the election and submit. I'll show you how to set up those questions. It is fairly straightforward. It's a simple survey. Those questions are here. The preamble is here and the postamble is here. I'll show you what that looks like. It's very basic text, no formatting. I mean, there's basic formatting. You can change the font size, bold, etc. Same thing with the postamble. And then in the questions. So you can have multiple pages if it's an extensive survey. If it's a simple survey, one page is usually enough. Or if you'd like it to be one long page, if it is a complex survey, you can keep it as all one page. So I've set up the president as a checkbox list. It is not required. To add a question, you would go in here, but basically it's going to pull up the same thing as when I edit this already existing question. I have it to set to go to page 1. This is the question name. This is for admin purposes so that you can organize it easily. The answer type is here. That's where I was talking about that checkbox list. There are several other types of questions that you can do, a true or false. I think I said radio buttons could only have 2 item lists, but I think I'm wrong. I think you can have multiple responses to a radio button, but it will only allow you to choose one. So this question text here would be vote for president, say.
And can I interrupt here real quick?
Sure.
If you noticed, when Kaylee switched the question answer type, she lost what she had already typed into that box. See how she just
Yeah.
lost. So if you have a long text there and you realize that you have the wrong answer type and you need to change the answer type, make sure you copy, cut and copy the long question text before you change it, because it's going to blank out what was in that box that you've already typed.
Yes, yeah. Club Express has those little finicky things. So vote for president. Response is not required, or it is, with an election, probably not. You can allow comments if they'd like to submit comments. Or you can allow an option to come up that says other, where they can type in maybe somebody else that they'd like to elect. So let's see what that looks like. And I'm going to hard refresh. I may have to log in and log out and log back in to see those changes, but let me delete my previous response. Okay. Yeah, so there we go. Maybe they want to vote for Sam instead. So yeah, that's basically, checkbox lists, radio buttons, those are some of those, simple ways to set up your election or your survey. And then now the last thing I'll show you is how to export that information. So I have one response submitted, and if I want to view the results of my election, there's a couple ways you could do it. You can just view them easily by looking at the results here. And if there were multiple, you would see multiple. Clicking on this icon here, you have that. And then you can also export the response details. But going back, there's another option to download a CSV. And that one is here, exports. And now I have a download. I'm just going to pull it up and see what that looks like. And here we have the results of president bylaws. This is coming up because the survey would typically show you all of this information about which member submitted which response, but this is an election, so it is, eliminating all of that information.
Haley, can I ask one question? I know we have another one. Somebody asked another question in the chat that we want to get to, but I've heard this question before in another web platform. When you have an election, it's very possible that somebody is running already has access to the back end, so they'd be able to see the process of the election. Is there a way to block certain people because their name is on the ballot from viewing this piece of the website without logging out everything that they have access to?
Yes, it would depend on whether or not they have full admin access to the back end or if they're coordinators.
Okay.
So if you go into your organization, so we don't have, well, I guess let's see what we have. So all of us are administrators. If this person was not an administrator, a coordinator could have access to every module. If you'd want to give that to them. But if you wanted to add this person or edit this person's coordinator functions, you'd simply go down. So this is basically what they see in the control panel in the back end. You would go down to communications and remove them from surveys. So now the surveys just won't show for them in their control panel. Does that make sense?
And basically, the difference between a full admin and a coordinator, the full admin has access to the website look and feel. So you should have very few people have full admin access. So if for some reason the person who you're talking about that you don't want to see the survey results should have full admin access, for the amount of time that you're doing the elections, remove them from full admin, give them access to everything else except surveys, and then once the election is done, remove them as a coordinator and assign them back as a full admin.
And chapters, I highly encourage you doing that. We've had some issues in the past where that step has not been done and has created a little bit of chaos with someone monitoring that. So it's just, I think it's a very good practice to do, is that when you set that up is to make sure those that you're putting on the ballot don't have access. That should be part of that process. So there are no questions down the road about if they were able to monitor that.
Yeah, and they would be able to delete too.
Yes,
Perhaps
so
like one of the responses and they deleted them. So yeah, that's a good
that was
good point.
that was accused. So it's a very good practice to have in place, is that it's great that we can use this feature, but a lot of times you will have a treasurer that's now running for secretary or president that will have access to certain things. So it's just a good SOP to put into place when setting that up.